Okay. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Mahesh Prabhu, and I am privileged to serve as the president of the ASHRAE Mumbai chapter for the Society Year 24-25. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you here today for today's program, which is a special panel discussion curated by architect Vidhi Jobanputra. And this is in celebration of the International Women's Day being organized by our chapter. Entitled Breaking in STEM, Leadership and DEI. A little bit of background on ASHRAE. As most of you may already know, ASHRAE stands for Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers. It was founded in 1894, and it's headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. Its key objective is the advancement of human well-being through sustainable technology for the built environment. The society and its members focus on building systems, energy efficiency, indoor air quality, refrigeration, and sustainability within the industry. Through research, standard writing, publishing, and continuing education, ASHRAE to 12 activity. A lot can be said about the chapter. However, I would not like to take much time. And I feel very proud to be part of this chapter. And this is an excellent opportunity to give back and volunteer and give back to the society. A word about today's program before I conclude. Breaking Barriers, Women in STEM, Leadership and DEI. Today, we are honored to have an inspiring panel of women leaders who have made remarkable contributions in their respective fields: business and corporate leadership, sustainable energy, and academia. Through their journeys, we will explore challenges, opportunities, and strategies to foster diversity, equity, and inclusion, particularly for women in STEM-related subjects. At ASHRAE, we strongly believe in creating workplaces and opportunities for women. Today's discussion is an important step towards understanding how we can contribute to this mission. I now invite our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair, Architect Vidhi Jobanputra, who's an eminent architect and a faculty at the Balban School of Architecture, with her area of expertise being in disability studies and designing inclusive spaces for differently abled people. I request you, Vidhi, to please introduce our panelists and lead today's discussion. Over to you, Vidhi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahesh, for a very warm welcome. I'm honored to be moderating today's panel discussion, which is about breaking barriers, women in STEM. So for all the viewers who are new to these terminologies, STEM basically stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So women in STEM, leadership, and DEI, which stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And on this beautiful occasion of Women's Day, we have with us three exceptional panelists. Bala, you need to mute. Bala, you need to mute. So we have with us Dr. Bhakti More, who's the chairperson and professor at the School of Design and Architecture, Manipal University, Dubai, who is shaping the next generation of architects and designers. She's a researcher in built environment and sustainability. Her focus areas are net zero building and sustainability. She has been instrumental in launching the Her Tomorrow Begins Today program, which is a mentorship initiative aimed at supporting graduate female students. Next, we have with us Dr. Rashi Gupta, who most of you all know, whoever is viewing. She is the founder and managing director of Vision Mechatronics Private Limited. Her voyage towards innovation has led her to conceptualize and produce the world's smartest lithium battery right here in India, a feat that earned her the enduring name Battery Wali of India. And her focus areas are energy robotics and energy storage technology. And she champions energy justice and energy equality through pioneering initiatives like rural electrification to ensure equitable access to clean and sustainable energy for rural schools in India. We have with us Shilpa Arora, who's a seasoned service sales and business development leader with a very strong background in service operations, account management, and strategic growth initiative within Vertiv, which is an MNC in critical power systems and thermal management. She is very, very passionate about social responsibility and community engagement, which reflects in the work that she does. So I welcome all of you. Okay, so I think we'll begin with the first question that I have. So, of course, the questions are for all of y'all, but if y'all want to highlight something from your personal life, some initiatives that you've been specifically working on, as I mentioned, please feel free to do so. Yeah, so I think all of us have been going through the statistics at different times of our life, and women usually make up 43% of STEM graduates in India, but only 14% work in the STEM jobs. And the number is more or less the same in architecture field as well. So there is clearly a difference in education and practice of the profession. So why do you think this gap is there, and what can we do to change it? We can start with Rashi.
Well, that's a very nice question. I'll tell you what. It's like the way you see it in architecture, the same I see in STEM. And these are the same problems that are seen across all the sectors. I mean, when I look at energy as a sector, I still see the same problems happening. I see a very minimal representation of women across the entire hierarchy. They enter, but they don't make it to the top. I mean, and they're practically missing from the middle management. A few of them which are there, which are very persistent, which kind of continue with their journey, make it to the top, but the glass ceiling is still somewhere there. So what can we do about this? I think first and foremost, very important is getting a family support, not just a parental support, but even our entire family support. See, what happens is, it is very nicely said, what takes, what it takes to, for every successful man, there's a woman behind it. But I think for every successful woman, there's an entire family behind it. So the important aspect here is the entire family has to support the aspirations that the lady has, that the girl has. Like, I see, and you know what? Another thing that women have to do is at any age, okay, we need to see ourselves as professionals, not from the gender lens, but from a professional lens, that yes, we are the same in the same professional domain. Whether you're an architect, you're a doctor, you are an engineer, you are a lawyer, you're a teacher, whoever you are, whatever is your profession, see yourself from the professional lens. And the most important thing is, we all have to go to the grassroots level, which is missing. What we do is, we just forget how to bring these women into this sector so that we don't miss out on them during the entire hierarchy chain that we are creating. Down the line, when today I see ITI women and these small young girls coming to the sector, they're so scared. They're so scared. They really don't know whether they can make it, whether they can do it, and the confidence level is so low. So we have to do a lot of hand holding. We have to teach the mothers. We have to bring in the parents in this, saying that yes, your girls are safe in this STEM sector. They can make a mark and a professional journey for themselves, and they can do something which is at par, which their male counterpart could do back then. They can do it even now. And with the new technologies like AI, machine learning, and the digitization that is happening in all the sectors, it is very easy for the women energies to come in, to step in. It's more cleaner, it's more easy, and it's more doable. So I think these are certain things that we need to focus on right now to get more women on board in every sector. Over to you.
There are some very valuable insights. I'm making notes because I'll again maybe question about them once all three of you have given your answers on the same question. Maybe we can go ahead with Shilpa next. Yeah.
Yeah. So I completely agree what Dr. Dashi tell about. See, my own story always rolls, throughout the family. And why? Because unless you have family at the back, or you have that strong backup support, you will not be able to reach to your aspirations, and career aspirations, whatever you have. Even if you are passionate enough, but then there are certain stages for every woman, to overcome those challenges. And then unless you have that family support, you will not be able to do so. That there is a reason for why this percentage is very less in STEM category. But then what we can do is we can remove the unconscious bias while hiring or while giving the promotions to the women in corporate sector, if I talk about. So and then we can revisit our policies every year, and then we can see how to include women as well at those particular roles. So yeah.
But
Yeah,
you wanna add?
in continuing to what Rashi and Shilpa have said, I would summarize it as three factors. First is the external factors, where you speak about stereotypes and maybe work-life balance or policies. The second is the family support. And the third is the women themselves. You have to build that confidence that, yes, you can do it. And already we have the qualities of multitasking. So if you're confident, you can definitely do it and overcome all the challenges, whether it's external or whether it's in your family. So I would just say that, be confident of taking up those challenges, and opportunities will definitely follow.
That's
I think
very
that's
true. If when I was listening to all of you, as I'm so used to taking the notes, I have two questions, specifically one for Shilpa and one for Rashi. Uh, as you said that a lot of hand-holding is required, which is correct. Uh, and you also said that now the environment is more conducive and it has opened up different avenues for women to step in. And the third thing you also said was there's a lot of fear in the women who are coming who are making an entry in this sector. For the audience who's unfamiliar with this sector, if you can highlight, why is this the fear? Is it more of site work? Is it more of machine? Or is it a more psychological fear? What is the cause of this fear that we are talking about? If maybe you can highlight a little more on that.
Should I take it first?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So when we talk of science, STEM sector, so there's science, engineering, technology, and maths, okay? Now what happens is, there's this funny notion which is imbibed in the minds of women, girls, right from the childhood, that this sector is not. What we are taught, we are conditioned in a way that engineering, let the boys do it. A technology kind of an IT job, let the boys do it. A difficult job, a design kind of a job, let the boys do it. Okay, an electrician kind of a job, let the boys do it. So if everything boys have to do, why are we needed? So you get my point? What happens is, how are we conditioned? So we are needed for cooking, we are needed for cleaning, we are needed for beauty, we are needed for fashion, we are needed for teaching, and we are needed for the softer roles. This is how we are conditioned. I'll give you one small example, okay? In one of our systems, what happened is the fuse had blown off. We make a lot of batteries and, energy storage systems, and a fuse had blown off. And what happened was, there was this lady who was alone at home and the system was not working. And we had to tell her that, okay, you can replace the fuse on your own self. You don't have to do anything. We will teach you on a video call. But she was so scared. She's like, I will get a shock. I will not do it. She was not ready to touch it. I had to get onto the video call and I told her that, look, I have the same equipment with me here. And if I do it and if something happens to me, you don't do it. It's live on the video. When I did it myself, she could believe that, yes, this is quite possible. And then she did it. So there was no precedent for her before that, because an electrician's job or changing a fuse is not a girl's job. This is how we are conditioned.
Right.
Our children, what do they think? What does mama do? Mama does not do anything. I mean, there was this ad, I think, run by one of the corporates also that, do you know that your mom designed planes? Do you know that your mom designed electric vehicles? No. It's a dad's job. It's not a mom's job. So that preconditioning which has gone into our minds for years and years and years has to be broken. When I was the only woman entrepreneur in the battery field, they couldn't believe it. They just wouldn't believe that a girl can bring the world's smartest lithium battery to India. No. They've asked me, who's the man behind the show? And I'm like, I'm the man and the woman behind the show. Is there a problem with that? So we are conditioned, and that conditioning has to change now. Somewhere we have to bring them, and that is the fear they have because they've never done it. And nobody has confidence in him that they will do it correctly. So this is the challenge we have to break.
Yeah.
And this is a very tough job,
Right.
but
Right.
we can do it.
Yeah, so if I'm getting this right, it's more about because you've never done it due to whatever conditioning has happened, there is no confidence of doing it. But if that had changed from the formative years, the scenario would have been different, right?
100%. 100%. When I was a very young child, at that time, my parents, that time, there used to be that old 486 and 586 kind of PCs used to be there. I mean,
Right.
those who are from
Right.
those generations would know. And my parents told me, you will not get a doll to play. They never gave me a doll. They said, there's a computer there, go learn that and play on that and do whatever. You're not getting a doll and the kitchen set and stuff, which generally women and girls get. Go get out, play in the field, go cycling, go play football, basketball. And that is what I was told to play. I was never baseball. I was never given dolls to play. I still don't have one. So my conditioning from the formative years was same as a boy would have had.
Right.
So I'm not scared.
So it's more like charity begins at home. So if you change
Yeah.
things at home, probably things will change further. On that note, I want to ask Shilpa. So you spoke about unconscious bias, right? A lot of viewers would not know what unconscious bias is because we are still in our nascent phase of DEI sector, right? In a lot of fields. So if you can maybe tell a little about what it is and maybe give a small example of it. Have we lost connection with her?
Programmed like that
Yeah,
this
yeah.
particular role female cannot do, so that programming has to change, and this unbiased or unconscious unconscious bias is coming from that program brain only, because we ourselves think that okay, this is the role this female will not be able to do, if even if it is a technical project, end-to-end bigger project, if it needs to be talk to multiple vendors across the world, and then maybe this particular female will not be able to give the justice to that role. So that's the pre-notion or what do you call that, conditions.
Preconceived notion, yes.
Yeah. So that we found a lot, and while hiring or while giving promotions to the females. So we need to break that barrier as a woman, as a female, and how you will break that. You again, Dr. Bhakti also said that you have to have belief in yourself and confidence in yourself. So to get that, you need proper mentorship or proper sponsorship at that level. So in all formative stages, you have to have that mentor. You should find out that mentor who can handhold and get you to that role.
Right. Bhakti, in addition to talking about the same question, I also maybe would like to throw another question at you, which I think you're best to answer. That all of us, in fact, all of you all have had very diverse exposure in global work settings, especially you with this exposure in Dubai, working for so many years over there, and you are from Bombay, which is another very different kind of city. What are the key differences that you see in the DEI approach in India, especially Mumbai and other cities versus Dubai? Because you also into academia, so I'm sure you are constantly in touch with so many students. So if you can tell us about what the difference in the approach is, in addition to commenting on what Rashi and Shilpa has spoken about.
Yes, so I would just like to share a story about, how students, they apply for employment. So we had one call coming from an employer and saying, can I get CVs of only the male students? So I'm like, why? Why is that a requirement? No, these are side jobs, and I think the male students can do it better. And I said, no, I don't have a male student. I will only send you female student CVs. And the employer took them on board, and they did great job. And next time the same person calls and says, can I have CVs? So, it's the mindset change that is important. And it's important that everybody gets equal opportunities, because work does not have a gender. So there should not be a question coming that, can I get male CVs? So the bias from recruitment also starts, and opportunities both have to be given. It's a talent that needs to be recruited, not the gender. So that's something very important. I'm in the UAE for almost more than 20 years. I've worked as a project architect. And here, I would say that there is a lot of equal opportunities for both. And UAE has almost 50% representation of women in its Federal National Council. So that itself tells about the governance and how women are respected here. And also globally, UAE is listed as a safe place in also safety standards for women. So we have had times where we have worked late hours and still the safety factor. So when we're talking about gender inclusive spaces, this is one country where I would say the safety is there for women, and that's why you can really not bother about what time, where, and where the location you are in a safe country. So I would say that every country needs to be a safe place for women, every city for that matter. When we're talking about inclusive cities, also in architecture and design, we do talk about how to create those spaces for women. So these factors are very important. So I would say that UAE gives those equal opportunities and safe places for women.
That's great to hear. Is there, so now that you spoke about this, I'm wondering, so even when you work in an architecture firm, the first thing, although there would be like 50-50 ratio between the men and women who work in the firm, still there is, in a banter kind of conversation, this would always come up. Oh, I'm the guy, I will have to go to the site. The boss is going to send me to the site. You will happily be allowed to go home. Do these kind of things also happen, let's say, in Dubai, or is it more happening in the environment that India is in? Is there a difference?
No, I see a lot of women at the leadership role, and even side jobs now taken by the women. So there is, I don't see the difference or a distinguishing factor when it comes to any roles now in the construction industry. It's a quite busy time here, and everyone is taking up these jobs. So, and there are a lot of other initiatives also in DEI, in a lot of corporates here. So I would say that we see a lot of representation of women on side jobs.
Right. Shilpa, if you can highlight a little about how is the DEI sector in India versus how is it in other parts of the world, because you come from an MNC. So I'm sure that the familiarization to DEI as even a word is very different. The exposure is very different in India versus other countries. Is that the case, or is just a presumption?
Yes, yes, Vidhi, definitely there is a difference. Why? Because India is, impacted more about cultural and family, cultural factors and family expectations as well. So woman has to see, both the factors. Even if she want to pursue her dreams, but at the same time, at the back, family expectations has to be met. So this is one difference that we found whenever we are dealing with global versus India most of the times. But then even if you find that DEI initiatives are there out of India or other countries, but then still representation is very less there as well, so that percentage remains, as a challenge. So getting that inclusion to the leadership roles, or giving those roles to the woman, is still a challenge.
Okay. Now, this is for all three of you, that how do you, now I understand that all three of you are at the leadership position, hence I'm throwing this question at you. How do you personally incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion, with maybe obviously more emphasis on women, in your leadership approach? It may be related to women, it could be related to anything, maybe incorporating the differently abled, or it could be just about incorporating people from lower economic strata. It could be anything. How do you as leaders bring about a change? Yeah, Rashi.
I think for me it is, practicing more of all of this. Because if I preach, I need to practice. So in that case, what I have done is I've made sure that we have a 50% men and 50% women employment in our company. That is the first thing I've done. Second is that what I do is I try to give an equal opportunity to the talent. Like as Bhakti ji said, it's about the talent. So when these young girls and all, they join in, I do not scare them from the sides, that it's okay, you have to go there, and I trust you and you will do something much better. And the outcome of this is that the customers also want these girls to come and do the servicing or anything on the site, where it comes to, because they feel they've done an exemplary job as compared to the male counterparts. So giving them that confidence and mentoring. Mentoring doesn't happen, it is not necessary that you do a lot of big mentoring sessions and stuff, but day in, day out, when you interact with the women around you, you can be a mentor. So you got to inculcate everything inside you as your character. And when you do that, it is so easy in your leadership positions to bring in diversity, inclusion, and equity.
Right.
And second and most important thing is treating everybody as equal. With it's not about the position or the hierarchy that they belong to or the profession that they belong to. We are all human beings first. We are all human energies and souls first. So if you look at everyone with that lens of a human being first, you are automatically bringing in equity. And this is how you become very sensitive, and you can really realize very well what the problem is, the person is facing professionally, personally, and how can you actually help the person to come out of that and excel in the professional career. So, these are certain small things which I have inculcated in my day-to-day lives to make sure that I achieve my DEI goals.
Right. That's very inspiring. So maintaining the ratio is one of the key aspects, in addition to hand holding, which really makes a difference, I think. Shilpa, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So when it comes to, day-to-day life for me in corporate, then I have, female as well as male, representation in my team. And then I ensure that, whenever somebody is approaching me for any personal or professional matter, then in my capacity, I give them, guidance, or I mentor them. And I bring them to the level that, they will feel comfortable, and in whatever, stress they are facing, so that's how I keep them motivated. So one is mentoring and sponsorship that Dr. Rashi also talk about, and other is you should be very fair in giving those pay or promotions, while evaluating them on performance as well. So that should be the other thing. And the third is, whenever there are meetings, weekly collaborative meetings are there, we should be hearing all the available audience there in the meeting room. So we should not see that, okay, she is a female, and then we should not value their opinion. So it should not be the case with me. I hear them all equally.
Right. Bhakti, you want to?
Yeah, I think getting people together, having everyone's voice heard is very important for the initiative. So I was also part of the employee resource group as a president of the DEI initiative. And it's important that we listen to everyone. Even that is something which is a small thing, but can have a bigger impact. And you mentioned about economical strata. And one thing that can be done is also, and we did that here at the campus, of offering scholarships through corporate support. And while we were doing that, many of the corporates said that we would like to offer it to female girls, girl childs also. So I think those kind of initiatives can also make a lot of difference. And when we talk about people of determination, it's also important that you know them, you interact with them, and have empathy. So empathy is one factor in DI initiative, which can make a difference. So how can you then support them, and not just educational wise, and also interact with them and take them together while you're at a workplace. So those aspects can really make a difference. And each of us, I think it's important that every person goes through a training of knowing what DEI is. So those trainings are important for all to understand more about it.
Right. On that note, I really wanted to ask you this, that in the formative years of your career, as well as the growth phase, as you mentioned that it's been 2 decades that you are in Dubai, and there's a certain growth associated. And I'm sure with Rashi and Shilpa also, there was a certain growth phase, and you are where you are now. During this phase or during the formative years, were there any specific challenges that you encountered, which are very specific to women, or which are very specific to you, maybe from the background that you come? Of course, you can only answer what you are comfortable with, but it just crops up in my mind that what are your personal struggles when now that I see that you've reached a certain leadership level? So I'm sure it must have been some kind of a struggle which was gender specific. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can start with Bhakti, because you have been talking about Dubai. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely when I was, in the corporate as a project architect, and I delivered my child, that time there was a struggle, because being in a new country and then having less support system out here. So I was, there was a lot of, again, work pressure. Projects were going on site and I had to take care of that. So I was on the maternity leave, and the director was calling me, when are you going to come back and join? And I had told him, I'll be back on 45 days, and I'm there at work. And there was a challenge of who will take care of my daughter. So my parents decided that no, you were not going to take any career break. There were challenges. They were in India, and they said, we'll take care of your daughter. And they took her to India when she was 4 months. And that's the time where, for it was a challenge whether how would it be for me, but I was very comfortable that she is in safe hands. So those choices you have to make in your careers, where you know that it is something good for the child. And I was surprised that a lot of people asked me that, how is it that you can live without your daughter, which she's just 4 months? But nobody asked my husband, and he was the one who found it more difficult than me. So, this is a bias. I would say that nobody even got to him and said, how are you staying here when your daughter is there and she's just 4 months? So I think those kind of challenges were there. But when I look back at it today, I see that she was there till almost 4 years of her age. And then she's so attached to India because she was there most of the time, and it was not a bad decision. It was, I would say, kind of something that you have to do when you have to be practical at a decision making. Yeah, I think
Really
that's about.
interesting to hear. Yes. Yeah.
For me, only one bias I can say that, when you have to conform to the gender expectations, sometimes you cannot accompany them for smoking breaks or, on drinking parties and all. So that is the one moment which I think that nowadays it is, little bit habitual for both men and women. But then, yeah, that was one bias I can say. It was there earlier.
For
Rashi?
me, biases were more on the, these social biases, what Shilpa said, yes, I know that. I mean, even I avoid those late nights and evening parties. It's not a cup of tea for me. But then, yeah, the biggest bias I faced was when I started this journey. Nobody believed in tech that I had. It was so tough for me to put it out there in this male dominated society that I could bring in the best tech for my country. It was so difficult to push it out there. In fact, and the second bias when I faced was when I was doing when I was trying to get a bank loan, done at that time. Like I said previously, also, who's the man behind the show? And I'm like, I'm the man and the woman behind the show. That was the biggest bias. And then I've also seen, when you do meetings and when you try and meet these customers, and they are like, it's a lady that we have to deal with. So that bias is still there in the power sector, asking that, it's a woman on the other side. Does she even know it? But then over a period of time, seeing myself with a professional lens every time, and I'm like, hear me out. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy it from me. I mean, it's okay. You're not the only one on the planet. So then I started giving them the attitude back, and I'm like, hello, you're not the only one on the planet who I can do business with. So when this came in thought, and they were like, okay, let's hear her out at least. And when they started hearing me out, they understood that what I'm getting on the table is far, far, far more valuable, something which will give them more value for money than the other people who had come. But then, yes, I do understand what Bhakti and Shilpa ji said, and we women do miss out because of that. But I'm sure there are ways to compensate that also. I mean, if we are losing out on some space, even men are losing out on some space. So we can definitely balance and compensate that out. I don't see a challenge. If we all three would have just seen these challenges, I don't think we would have made it to where we are now. So it's okay to have these roadblocks, some speed breakers and challenges, but there is always a way out because the water keeps flowing, and the feminine energy is like water which keeps flowing, which finds its way out. We are a river, and we can definitely make it to the top, all of us, despite all the challenges that we go through.
Yeah, sometimes we don't have visibility to the important projects or high visibility projects as well, or leadership tracks. So that is also one of the biases that we faced a lot.
Yeah, I think when I hear Shilpa, that's so important. We talk about so many things, but very rarely do we realize that, oh, there is a certain feeling of being left out. It's not because you want to go and smoke with them or you want to go and drink with them. Now, obviously, it's a choice. But for people who, and this goes to men and women both, where if they don't want to go smoking, if they don't want to go drinking, there's a certain feeling of being left out, not because you're not a part of the party, but because a lot of important discussions happen over a drink. A lot of discussions happen over a smoke. And they are probably vital discussions, which are important decision-making processes that are happening. So sometimes that unintentionally does leave out people. Yeah, Rashi, you wanted to say something.
Most of these business deals that happen are over in the bars and the cafes, over the smoke, in the smoking lounges. And I had this problem right from the beginning. And I used to think that why are we in offices then from 9:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, slogging up till 6 o'clock? And can't we do business within that time frame? Why do we have to spare our evenings, which is the family time or which is a me time, for all of this work? And I've still not found an answer to that. I mean, anybody listening to this
Right.
maybe can tell me an answer to this, because why should I sacrifice my extra hours and do business out or things out of it? Why are we
Right.
always keep running in the rat race all the time?
Yeah. And also the fact that sometimes it's not just a choice, but probably the only thing that you can do is stay out, because maybe you are a mother, you have a newborn baby, you cannot smoke because maybe you're feeding the child, you cannot smoke, and maybe you cannot drink, and you're taking care of yourself, and you have to say no to these parties, but then you are left out at the end of the day from visibility and important aspects. So I think it's a very important point that you have put across, even the access to loan, access to money, because there are many banks who would hesitate before giving a loan to a woman, especially if she's single. And there are so many assumptions around it that, okay, how do we catch hold of you if you don't pay the loan? You will be going somewhere else. What if you get married? What if you go away? So there are so many access problems that a woman actually faces in the real world, which can affect the career and the growth. Yes. So I think, Bhakti, while I was also going through the work that you've done, and I realized that Her Tomorrow Begins Today is a very impactful program. Do you want to talk a little more about it?
Yes, so I would say that I am myself a big fan of mentorship because I have got amazing mentors in my career. And when it comes to a mentor, I think it's a relation that is built with a mentee. And so this program was introduced so that the female graduating students, while they are in the final year of the program, they get access to directors and CEOs who have on the leadership roles, and they guide them on what their career path journey should be. I think if more of such programs are introduced, then you will not have the first question of yours of the 43 and the 14% of representation. And in a mentorship program, there's a lot to learn. It's about the skills also, which are important when you are entering a career path. So how can you decide and have aims and goals of the career? Not just randomly come and do be part of the profession, but also plan it well and understand your ambition. So this program goes through a selection, and then you're identifying those students who then continue it. And I've seen that those kind of bonds were not just for the 9 months of the structuring of the program, but it's the mentors are still guiding the students, and that relation and bond is very important for someone to be there for you while you're on your career journey.
Right, right. So on that note, because there is a lot of support that is needed, and we have been throughout the discussion talking about this support, and that brings me to the next question that recently several major companies have scaled back or eliminated the DEI budget or DEI initiatives. A lot of major companies, I don't want to name them. How does this trend impact the companies in the world? And do you see a difference in the companies that are supporting DEI initiatives versus those who are not? Because if the major companies, which people look up to as a role model company, they roll back their DEI initiatives, what is the impact that you can expect in the world now in the current scenario? Yeah, any one of you can maybe talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take this question.
Right.
I also read this Vidhi that most of the big companies, major companies, they have now eliminated or start eliminating, while few of the companies have just started their DEI journey, because in India we have not yet matured enough to have this DEI in organization. But to me, it is very important to have DEI initiatives because if you include women, your organization foundation becomes more stronger, and then you will bring loyalty or integrity also to the table, and the quality of work that you will get is is worth. So to me, that we should not stop doing these DEI initiatives, but yes, we should talk to leadership teams or get communicate the long-term benefits of getting DEI initiatives in the organization. That's how we should push them based on the data that talk about the DEI benefits. Yeah.
Right, right. Are there any international standards or any rule book related to DEI? Because you come from that background, so yeah.
Yeah, there is no such rule book, but it's it depends on organization to organization to have those HR policies to make that DEI, because every organization has different percentage to bring those women in certain roles. So there is no such rule book for any of
Okay.
them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something that I'll add on your rule book thing is that IEEE is writing the new GESI standards, and I'm also a part of it. And I think
Wow.
very soon you will see something out on the in the global field, to see that how we can have gender equity, inclusion, diversity all together in and have certain benchmarks and measures to really, and some standards to really see, and handbook kind of a thing where we can really measure what we're doing. Because if it's not measurable, it's not seen, it's not visible. So most of the times we miss out on these measurements, and I think this new handbook that is going to come in, a new standard that GESI is writing under IEEE, I think that will be very revolutionary. Also, regarding the budgets and what Shilpa ji just said, what I did was also I made sure that all the strategic positions in the company, which are very important, are held by women. And when I changed to this, I have seen a significant improvement and a significant change in the way the company is performing. And it really makes a difference. It really makes a difference. And it is so comfortable. I mean, of course, women is easy to work with women, but sometimes it's not easy to work with women. Sometimes they don't understand. They tend to, just lock horns. So keeping all of that in place, but I think it has really transformed, and it has made our lives very easy. We are more understanding, we have a high emotional quotient and intelligence also, and we really understand the situation and we navigate through that skill well. Because I always tell, if a woman can run the house, she can run an entire business. You don't need a magnificent degree or something great to do it. You can manage your house budget, right, very well. No matter what is the situation, you sail through it. You can manage the company's budget. There is no chance you will fail out, and you
Right.
will take the right decision. So I think that is what I inculcated in all these women that came along with me in my journey, and I think they have been a fantastic support as pillars for my entrepreneurial journey. I think without them, I would not have made it till here.
Right.
It just
Bhakti, you want to? Yeah, sorry.
Vidhi, sorry to interrupt you. On
No,
rule, there is India government has already published, I guess, one rule. I'll come back to you on this later to you.
Sure.
But I heard that during one of the events, and the only thing that even if India government has mandated it, it's about the organization themselves. They need to implement that strategy in their organization. So there, the government is not able to bind on them. But yes, there is a rule. I'll come back to you on this point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
would
it's
just
very
add that
important. Yeah.
I would just add that now that companies are also going for environmental social governance, ESG accounting, the social is about people, and you cannot miss that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, in fact, ESG has become it's time it becomes a buzzword. It is catching up. But earlier it was only known to the sectors who are really into it. But now it has suddenly become popular. I was just checking that day. a lot of institutes across India, including IIM, including IIS, everyone has been giving maybe short-term courses on it, long-term courses on it. So it is definitely catching up, and the whole umbrella of sustainability is now so wide, where people don't just imagine sustainability as environmental sustainability. They are adding the economic aspect to it, social aspect to it, and that now has become a big umbrella term. So let's hope for a very important change. And I think, as Shilpa said, that there is this rule book and there is this execution of the rule book. And between that, there is this bridge of mindset change. Yeah, and it's just so difficult, but that bridge is so essential to address. You want to share, in the interest of time, maybe we can discuss a little more about, it's very interesting. I'm going to skip the questions that I have in mind, but I'm really curious to know that in the leadership roles and whatever companies or firms or educational institutes you're familiar with, do you see a difference in the organizations that are led by women? Because Rashi pointed out, and it was very interesting to know how the difference is. For all of you, do you see a difference in the ones which are led by women and the ones which are led by men? Because I remember in COVID times, all the countries in the world were handling COVID in their own ways. And suddenly, when you get a measurable data, which said that the ones that were led by women have managed to handle COVID far more better than the other countries. Of course, there are other factors as well. And also this fact that what can be measured can be managed. So this idea of measuring something is so important. Yeah. So tell me, how would you term these differences in leadership? Yeah, through any examples that you may be aware of. Yeah. I think you are on mute. Somebody, Shilpa, you are on mute. Were you trying to say? Yeah.
So you want me to take this question?
Yeah, anyone. Yeah.
Okay, so see, basically, I have already understood, there is a difference between, women leading this organization versus men leading. The most important thing is discipline and the structured way of working. That brings difference to the organization. And then, but then sometimes few people will not, like it, that disciplinary work or the structured way of working, because, and then sometimes there is a, conflict happens between male and female. So, and then sometimes they feel that, oh, she's a, bossgiri career types. But then, yes, so you are the boss in the organizations, and you have to, you cannot choose your boss, right? So even if it is a male or female, you have to work according to the rule book. So yes, but then discipline, and then woman brings a lot of patience also along with discipline. So yes, I feel that there is a difference between male and female leading organizations. Yeah.
Bhakti, you want to add to the experience that you have in leadership?
Yeah, I would say it's the research that has all shown many times, because if we all come and say at today's platform that, women-led organizations do better, everyone would say that it is Women's Day and all are women saying that. But a lot of times it's a data that has come from research. So we would give the credits to the research.
Right. Yeah, no, also this getting used to multitasking. Women are so they are multitaskers, right? So they do handle a large volume of work. Even from the research, it clearly says that women are multitaskers and they are going to be able to handle large volumes of work at once. Plus, in that large volume, it could be works of different kinds, not just one kind. And that is so essential because the life that women have led, it brings a certain skill set along with that life. And that skill set, when applied to leadership roles, it can do wonders. And I think all of us would agree to that. And so does the research. So, yeah. Yeah. Before we end this, and before we talk a little more about 8th of March, do you want to add anything more to this discussion, like a concluding line, a key takeaway for everyone who's listening to this? Yeah. Maybe we can take maybe one small takeaway or maybe one implementable action that you would suggest from your side. Yeah. Rashi, you want to go first?
I'll go last.
Okay. Yeah. So that leaves me with Bhakti and Shilpa.
I would just keep it very short to 2 words.
Right.
Just be yourself. I think that's the message.
On this occasion of Women's Day, I urge every woman to, keep aspiring yourself, your dreams, and then if you have intent to follow your dreams, it will come true. And then never give up, So there are challenges, but then, as you said, Vidhi, that there are ways also, how to mitigate those or overcome those challenges. You will certainly find a way to, come out of that situation. Yeah. Just be courageous enough to follow your dreams. Yeah. Happy Women's Day to all.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I think what I would like to say to everyone out there is that if you think there is a barrier, then you are the only barrier. And if you think you can do it, then you're the only one who can do it. So what my other co-panelists, Bhakti, Shilpa, and even Vidhi, you have said over and you have done over this entire session is, there's only one message that I think two messages that I can give is one is be consistently consistent and be persistently persistent. That's the only rule book you guys can do it. And you can get anything and everything you want on this planet. And second most important thing that all of you have to do is spend some 5 minutes with your own self, your me time. Do not sacrifice your me time for anything on this planet. It's not worth it.
Right.
That is the time when you will be with yourself, you listen to your inner voice, and you will know the next steps ahead. And that is the spice mix of the success. Thank you.
I think that's very similar to what I just got from Nivedita ma'am in the chat box. I'm not sure if she is well enough to maybe mute, to turn on the audio because she's not keeping well, but I'll still read it out. So she says that exactly what you said, Rashi, that women do get bogged down with societal tags of being multitaskers, and women, in order to justify that tag and to make into this world, they get overburdened. It's not necessary. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting overburdened. Yeah, she has a sore throat, so she won't be able to speak, but I can be a voice. Yeah. So I think, before we conclude, there's a small bit that I wanted to talk about this important day for everyone who's watching this and otherwise, that March 8th is not just a day on the calendar. It marks a very, very long journey of reshaping work-life coexistence. While the UN recognizes the International Women's Day in 1977, this day traces back to March 8th, 1917. So decades ago, when women textile workers in Russia took to the streets demanding better working conditions, many similar strikes and protests by women preceded and succeeded this and led to movements of women's suffrage, education, and labor rights worldwide. In India, at that time, we were still fighting for women to access education. Forget about them being a part of the paid labor. Defined working hours changed lives everywhere, not just in factories, and all thanks to the struggle that they have led. Before this, the mothers, they measured their child in horizontal length because they always saw them asleep because they were constantly working in factories. with structured working hours that changed to vertical length because finally they could see them awake, standing, growing. And there's so much to say about this important day, even before the recognition of it as International Women's Day, and even after that. There is so much that has happened over the years, and there are so many things that we are now aware of. The fact that we are hosting and holding this discussion is all thanks to whatever struggles have been led by all the beautiful women in the past and who are constantly taking that torch ahead and towards a better and successful future. I think before we end, I would just invite if Nivedita ma'am is not well, so she was going to do a vote of thanks. And Mahesh, I'm not sure if he's around
Vidhi,
because he
I'm
had
trying to.
some.
Vidhi, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
I'm croaking, but I'm right. Couldn't help myself. I met Rashi just once at one of the, I think, COP27 or 28 meeting in Mumbai.
Right.
Shilpa, I met her at a votive event. Just one meeting. Bhakti is anywhere, our ASHRAE colleague, and she was my host in Dubai. But the first two, I sort of had a very great connect with them. I felt, like, okay, there's something very synonymous between the two or three of us. And I was looking forward to an opportunity to get them on this platform. Thanks to you. It's just for the three of you all. It was around 9:30 or 10 in the night that Vidhi called me up. And in half an hour's time, this program got set. I wanted actually one more speaker who's the principal in the school. So we could have addressed
Namrata.
that aspect also, Namrata Saxena.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we can always do another one. So thank you, all three of you, all, for doing this, getting my dream come true. Thank you.
Our shared dream now. We will
Thanks.
call them again and discuss more.
Kind words, Nivedita. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And amazing job, Vidhi. You've been an amazing moderator. So great job.
Thank you so much.
Super,
All right.
Vidhi. We really loved it. Very nice. Thank you so much for
I